Hi guys, I'm Nell.i and I'm a first year Ukrainian student. On my channel, besides entertaining videos, I sometimes talk about what's going on in my country so that foreigners can understand the situation in general. And today I'm gonna talk about what is it like to be a teenager in a war. I think that it will be pretty interesting for adults to see the world through the eyes of a Ukrainian teenager. Before we begin, I want to say that I'm not gonna make a hype on this topic. It's a really important topic for me, so I just want to raise awareness. And also, I wrote a full script of this video because I don't want to miss any details. So I have this script in my laptop, and sometimes I will look over here to get help from there, okay? So I hope you will understand. To begin with, the war between Ukraine and Russia started many years ago, in 2014, but it took place in certain areas of the country, so most Ukrainians continued their peaceful and quiet lives. But on February 24th, 2022, Russia started a full-scale invasion into Ukraine, and now the entire country is in danger. When the war began, I was 16 years old and I was finishing school. And I think that everyone knows that adolescence is the most difficult period in a person's life because this is the time when a child's worldview and personality are formed. In addition, hormones are activated, and because of these, the teenager becomes more emotional, sensitive, and acutely perceives the world around him. And now to all these you have to add the stress of final school exams, the choice of future profession, parental expectations, and a responsibility for their own future. And of course, certainly, the pressure on a teenager is overwhelming. Almost every teenager in the world experiences this, and even then, not everyone can handle it. And I was a typical teenager too, with my own problems and worries, but it was until February 24th. Let me tell you a little bit how I experienced the outbreak of war. On February 24th, 2022, 6 a.m., I woke up hearing a siren outside and reports that the war had begun. It was the first time I had ever heard a siren. Until that moment, the sound was just a scary thing from a horror movie for me. But now the horror turned into the reality. Of course, I was in a panic, as was the rest of the country. I was crying and I thought that I didn't have long to live. Everywhere it was written about Russian offensive, the movement of the tanks, the attack from the air. I was mentally saying goodbye to my friends and loved ones, and I was texting them that how much I love them.
Боже, ты слышишь, на улице звук сирены идет. Мне уже страшно. Послушай.
I never thought that at my 16 years old I would experience this and I would think about my death. On that day, the lives of millions of Ukrainians just came to a halt. Many of Ukrainians left the country. At school, we were sent on a vacation for an indefinite period because there was no thought of exams, of studying. At that moment, only one thing was important: to survive. Because of the stress, I couldn't sleep a few days in a row. I slept maximum of 2 or 3 hours a day. In my dreams, I saw my city being burned down and people being killed. And when I woke up, I was reading the news about Ukrainian cities being just turned into ashes. It was hell on earth. Days merged into weeks. Time passed without me noticing, and tension was at its peak. After about a month, when I had recovered a little, I dared to go outside for the first time. I had never stayed at home for so long. You didn't know what was waiting for you outside. Over time, others and I became used to this martial law and went on with our normal lives. Studies were resumed in an online form, and I spent my first year of the university online as well. There was always danger, but we had no choice but to keep going. Unfortunately, many Ukrainian women and men, including teenagers, went to war. Losing their childhood and sometimes their lives for their country. So the country is very grateful to every Ukrainian warrior because of them we can wake up in the morning. As a teenager, I often analyze my actions, thoughts, feelings, and I've noticed that it has become morally more difficult for me to cope with my problems, just ordinary problems. To every difficulty is added the factor of the war and the complexity of life, so it became a big burden for me and guys my age. The constant tension caused chronic fatigue, and now even sleep doesn't help you gain energy. And as for sleep, every loud sound has become for me a real trigger now. For example, recently I just jumped out of my bed at the sound of a train, thinking that it was an explosion of the missile. Just can you imagine that? Now people can't imagine their lives without war. We've forgotten what it is like to see a passenger plane in the sky. Now, if you see something in the sky, it means it's dangerous. But researchers say that Ukrainian teenagers see their future in Ukraine and will help their country in any way they can. This proves once again that it's very difficult to break a person, especially an entire nation. And the same thing I can say about Armenia, which has been in a war for many, many years. But that's a different story. I sincerely sympathize with people who caught the war. That's not something anyone in this world should wish. And I hope that no one will ever suffer from it. But of course, these are only hopes and dreams, and in reality, our world is very cruel. Well, guys, this video is sad enough, but that's the life, and I don't want you to feel sorry for me or I don't know, think how poor I am. I just told you how life of Ukrainians is, and I want to raise awareness, and I hope you were interested. If you have any questions, of course you can leave them in the comments, and please appreciate what you have. Enjoy your life and don't lose hope. Stay safe and see you.